I would like to start with your biographical background, and would be interested to know if your education, family background, and so on, if this influenced your approach to art and your. Would you like to start, or?
I can start. Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons for me getting involved in art, it was a vehicle that provided me a lot of possibility of living a life beyond the one that I grew up with in rural America. So it was a nice way of finding a way out of that possibility.
Yeah.
So that was just a very practical way of thinking about it. But yes.
And you moved very early to Brooklyn or to New York?
After college, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
college.
yes.
And where did you study?
I mean, I studied at a private art school at Rhode Island School of Design.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
And then
I moved to New York, and I worked for art galleries, and then I met Tyler and Ben from Real Fine Arts, and which was very informal at the beginning, and we kind of, I mean, they were very open, and we all kind of started showing together.
You're one of the first artists, I think.
I think so.
The gallery,
in a way. You'd have to verify with Ben,
but you had your first show.
That was my first show. Yes,
that
was my first show.
Wonderful. And what is your background, or what your approach to this?
It's more on how I got into the arts, maybe,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Well, my mom is Dutch and my father's Filipino. And I've been moving between the two countries my whole life. And so I think my position, I've always kind of been an insider but an outsider. And so always kind of been observing. And the camera became a way to do that. Yeah, so I think that's how I got into it.
You told me before that you studied first economics, I think, to please your parents.
Because I had to. Yeah, I studied economics, and then I had to prove that wasn't for me. And then I moved to Holland and went to an art school there. Yeah. In the east of Holland, in Enschede.
But you also today you move forth and also back Manila, Philippines, and
I just a month ago I flew back to Rotterdam, and now I will go back to Rotterdam, and in this month I go back to the Philippines again. But now it's a bit fast, but yeah.
But you produce your works mostly in the Philippines or in?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like. I always wanted to. Well, my family lives in the Philippines, so I always wanted to. I felt like I was more necessary in the Philippines somehow. That sounds so bad, but I felt like Holland didn't really need me, But I mean, I think it's important that somehow I felt like I could do a lot more in the Philippines. Yeah. So I mean, I also work with young people and. Teach them how to use cameras, and they actually collaborated with me on this project. So it feels like there's more of a ripple effect by doing my practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, next question. Would like to, if you could explain me us in a few words the structure, the concept of the piece you made for the.
Well, I guess I can just describe it. It's, I guess some people saw it, but it's a 3 acrylic display corridors that have housed 7 drawings each in them, and so it's a way of kind of like, architecturally, in a way, corporealizing like the act of looking, and playing with transparency because they're on transparent glass. And so it's playing with feelings of confinement and when it comes to the act of viewing or something like that. So because you're looking at these images which are largely appropriated and so you see them kind of. I was reflecting on the kind of. I'm dreadful at this right now. reflecting on the kind of what I thought was a kind of a way of thinking of kind of, you know, the transparent way of seeing it from afar, but also like feeling confined and isolated. Actually, I'll be honest, you wrote it very nicely in the brochure. So please don't listen to me.
Read the brochure. Yeah. But did the context of the art fair, of course, influence the
absolutely,
the piece? Yeah.
absolutely, yes. Of course. It was. I mean, I approached it like it was a solo exhibition. But I mean, when you make work, I mean, when I you know, 'cause in the past 2 years, I've been making works on paper, and so.
So mostly drawings.
Yeah.
The last 2 years.
Yeah. And so I was. I mean, so for the fair, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it being for a sales context. So I was, you know, thinking within those terms and thinking very practically about, you know, how the work can exist in terms of scale and size and quantity and inventory. I guess you could say to be very cynical, but it's not a cynical show.
Yeah.
But,
no, it's not a cynical show.
And I honestly, to be frank, I kind of draw a line between the work that I make for fair contexts or explicit sales contexts and works that I can treat more as an exhibition, which I feel like if you see those works, it's a bit more of an open-ended kind of approach to how I treat the content and the media.
Okay, so thank you. So what about your work at the fair, the presentation?
You know, when I've been wanting to make this actual work for a long time, but I forgot that, you know, it's a booth. So I had to, you know, fit it in there. But the idea, how do you get people to step into that? Sorry, I'm also horrible at this right now. But yeah, I mean, so the relationship between the person and the people who are doing the procession underwater, would like them to have a feeling like they're looking in an aquarium or in the water, or that it's the size and I don't know how to explain.
It's like a 1-to-1 scale
yeah,
or something like that.
And also this feeling of that you can kind of feel the heaviness of the water somehow. It's important that it's hard work and the heaviness. Yeah, I don't. It sounds so.
Yeah, it's almost like those dreams you have where you're running in water or something like that.
You worked 2 years on this project.
No, I mean, I've been working with the same. These are friends of mine, neighbors, since 2010. So it's kind of when I started working, I actually filmed men from Bantayan Island getting on ships. So not just the local fishermen, but I went on international cargo vessels. And so were guys I knew. And so I spent time on international vessels. And when I came back to the island, we filmed these guys also fishing and doing their work. It kind of just happened that you know, that's the power of video, especially that it opens up dialogue. So we were able to talk about a lot of social issues, economic and environmental issues. And so after that, I started a project. I did it with my brother and my family. Everyone was involved, by the way. But then we started working with the women and worked on livelihood projects, and now working with youth. So this work was already kind of like it's a combination of everything that I've been doing these past few years. Like, yeah.
So my last.
If I'm explaining it.
My last question, already mentioned by our moderator. Do you already know what you want to do with the prize, with the cash amount you will get in a few minutes?
Well, I've got a few projects that have been continuing already for a while on the island, and so this work is a part of a bigger project that I'm doing with my brother. So
So you will
So we will
reinvest it.
continue. Yes, definitely, like
Mathieu
always.
Abonat, before.
Yes, yes.
Is it the same for you, or
Yeah, I mean,
planning holidays, or
of course. Yeah, no, I mean, there's an exhibition I did earlier a year ago, and that I would like to do a follow-up on, and it's a bit more less a different tenor than this show, and I'd like to explore that in a greater depth. And so,
in an institution, then, or
hopefully, I mean, I would just like to work on this, regardless of wherever it will be shown.
It will be shown in the near future.
And so, I would like to. It was my first time just doing something more documentary, and so I would like to explore that at greater depth.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we look forward to see it.
I hope so.
Okay, so thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Warm applause.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.